right. Shalom. Most High and Christ bless. Happy Feast of Purim to everybody tuning in across the globe. All praises to the Most High in Christ. We are back again live. I can tell you one thing. The Most High has feast days for Israel to celebrate way beyond the high holy days of this world. It's our days that's really supposed to be celebrated. But the people of this earth seem to believe that they have holy days.
Right.
But the Most High shows us over and over again that his high holy days will trump the wicked high lie days of this system any day. We just freshly coming out of Night Cana.
Right.
All right. These days right here are days of reverence. Christ reverenced these days, folks. We're going to show you in the Bible. All right. But the most important thing is make sure you have your 1611 King James Bible. All right. Make sure you have something to take notes with. It's important for you to learn these scriptures, okay? Because the world's going to tell you anything.
Right.
But as long as you're going as it is written, thus saith the Lord, then you can have confidence in it. You don't see the Lord telling you to do Easter.
Right.
You don't see the Lord telling you to do Thanksgiving. He don't tell you to do Christmas, Halloween, but you still do it. Why aren't you celebrating the Lord's feast days? So tonight, Purim, of course, great deliverance, the true story of honor, Mordecai and Esther, all right? There's a lot of players in this story right here. You have Anasaurus, right? You have, of course, Mordecai, and who y'all would know, Hadassah is Esther. You have Haman, all right? You have a lot of things that this story right here will point to a lot of things of why Israel understands the Bible in certain ways, like certain players, even according to Edom. All right? So make sure you taking notes, okay? Let's open up with the book of Esther, chapter 1, and verse 1. All right. Esther, chapter 1, and verse 1, y'all.
The book of Esther, chapter 1 and verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus from India. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, this from India even into Ethiopia, over 120 provinces, that in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and princes of provinces being before him.
Yeah, the map. So you have to realize this is a great kingdom that was established at this time, the kingdom of Persia and Medes. Okay, the Medo-Persian Empire. You look at it on the map right here. It was a little bit more extensive because their reach they were still reaching even far as where you see Scythians. All right, so and all the way over. Remember, the Medo-Persian Empire was prophesied in the book of Daniel. So this kingdom. Let me see who's thinking. This kingdom rose up after what other major captivity? Let me see. Put in the comments. This kingdom rose up after what other major captivity? Let me see if y'all know. Is our volume good? Our volume is low? It's good? All right. We are live, folks. Yep, bingo. Babylon. So a lot of y'all, you start to really put the pieces to the puzzle together. I know when we came in, we were looking at it. So when you look at the Bible speaks of really 7 major captivities. 7.
Yep.
The first one being of the Egyptians. All right. You know the major players. It's Moses. The next one, we went under a series of judges, but the next major captivity was the Assyrians.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right.
722 BC.
722 BC. Write that down. Okay, roughly that's before Christ. Okay, don't believe. See, I keep telling y'all they'll put BCE in there.
Right.
All right, before Common Era, but you knew it was before Christ. That's what it was originally. But because the truth is hitting the earth and archaeology is coming up the surface, they realize, whoa, wait a minute. We got to start removing Christ from all this stuff because he is the black Messiah. For you so-called black and Hispanic natives whose fathers are of Negroid and Indian descent, the biblical Israelites that are scattered across the globe, primarily in North, Central, and South America. All right? We will challenge anybody to that. History says it. All right? So, yes, so you have the Assyrians. Now you have the Babylonian, which is roughly 586. All right? Write that down. Now, the Babylonians had someone in this captivity that translated to the next one, Daniel. So you have our righteous men carried over from these captivities, and you start to realize certain things. You're going, wait a minute. Daniel being righteous. Ezra.
He's another
Ezekiel.
one. Ezekiel. Yeah.
You know, you have all of these. You seeing that being righteous is about a whole nation, though. So that's why when you start to realize the greatness of a nation of people, we're talking about Esther. We're going to touch some points in this. All right. We ain't going to touch the whole thing, but we're going to touch some points for y'all. So you have the Babylonians. Now you have the Medo-Persian Empire that spawns up. They took down Babylon. Remember when you read in Daniel. Now the Medo-Persian Empire rises up. What's the next empire to come up after the Medes, folks? Put in the comment boards. After the Medes, what's the next empire? See somebody put it down. Look, I'm looking at the cloud right now. Let me see if I can go in there. I don't see. Okay, there we go. We're a little bit delayed. Don't worry about it. Okay, so the next major captivity after Babylon was the Greeks. Major players in the Greeks. Yeah, Alexander defeated him. Who's the major players for us in the Greeks?
We just celebrated it.
No,
We just celebrated it. I mean, some people supposed to like bam. That's supposed to be bam, bam. We just.
Maccabees, okay. The Maccabees, okay. Judas Maccabeus, his father, Mattathias. All right, you have some major players in that. The next captivity after that is the Romans. Who's the major player there? I don't know how you can even. I'm not even asking that.
I know that's right. Christ. I know that's right.
You know it's Christ. Now we're in the last captivity, which is the Americas, and we're all back together. We're all now back in this same boat as this is spiritual Egypt,
right?
And we're back in the same boat. So we need to look. Somebody put Paul. That would be wrong, sir.
Wait, in Matthew?
In the Romans.
In the Romans?
He said Paul. Well, he's looking at it in a sense of Paul being implemented in that.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
But I said major. The major person would be Christ. Now we're in this, and this is the Americas. Now Israel is back all together. Now we want. Our enemies have it in for us. They have it for our demise. So we need to learn what we need to learn out of the Feast of Purim for us to really get a sense of understanding that, though you return back into righteousness, The Most High will fight for us.
All day.
All right. So let's continue reading.
The book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 4. When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even 180 days.
Come on.
And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small.
So Shushan the palace, y'all should highlight that because, of course, as we move forward into feast days and everything else, you'll see, like even with the Maccabees, you'll see that there's a person that comes from Shushan. All right, but read on.
It says, both unto great and small, 7 days in the court of the garden of the king's palace.
Come on.
Where were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen, and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble. The beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red, and blue, and white, and black, and marble. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold.
Just like in their palaces today, you see some of the same similitudes of the great workings, all right, of good carvings and works from their buildings and things today. All right, you see that. Imagine he decking it out because it's a great feast. All right, y'all see this even like when you look at who was it? The prince over there got married and they flipped out over it. You know, he got married to the woman.
Oh, you're talking about Markle?
Yeah, but notice how they decked everything out.
Yeah.
All right, and had ladies looking like, oh wow, this is a royal wedding, broadcasted and everything.
Yeah.
All right.
It was worldwide.
Right. So they have their designers and everything else for their kingdom, and they got the top best things there. Now watch this. Come on.
The vessels being diverse one from another, and royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king.
So that means when it says vessels diverse one from another, that means nobody was drinking out of the same paper cups. Everybody glasses and utensils were all uniquely different.
Yeah.
That's royalty.
All day.
We don't know about that.
No.
You know, the best you got is your grandmother's dusty old china caps and stuff. All right. But it ain't nothing compared to this.
Right.
They got their own kingdom.
Right. And that's the thing. Even with us, that's what we're striving for that majesty.
Come on.
Verse 8. And the drinking was according to the law.
Come on.
None did compel. For so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
So let me say this. This law is according to what they're saying. So this show you that even in their kingdom, you can't have a well-ordered kingdom without law.
Right.
Now, this would be equivalent, y'all. Let me bring it to... See, we always got to bring it up to speed today.
Right.
So let's go to something like New Orleans, where you see Mardi Gras. Brazil, they have Carnival. People are walking in the streets with drinks. To where on another hand, you'll see some people driving in the car, waving with drinks at the police and everything. Laws were implemented to say, leave them alone.
Yeah.
Let them have fun and party and drink. Watch this, come on.
Verse 9. Also Vashti,
Uh-oh.
the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house.
Let me say this to y'all. Now to you ladies, okay? Listen carefully. This is an excellent story for y'all to look at when it comes down to a kingdom and how a queen should really be operating. We're going to look at Vashti. If your husband turned to you and called you Vashti, that ain't a good thing.
You in trouble.
Yeah, that's not a good thing.
That means you about to be replaced.
You being a Vashti, that means
right.
you're taking on replacing you.
All right.
Because we're going to read this is not how you supposed to operate as a queen. How could your feast trump what he put together? Somehow, magically, she believes that she just need to have a feast.
Right.
All right, let's read it.
Right. It says I thought it said first Esther. Esther chapter 1, verse 9. Also Vashti the queen made a feast for the women in the royal house which belonged to King Ahasuerus. On the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mumin, Biztha, and Habona, and Bitha, and Habatha, and Zotor, and Karsis, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king.
Don't feel bad when you read verse 10. There, when those people call to sell you something, or where they call to ask you questions, or whatever it is, whatever customer service they working, you have people who call you. Their name is Bithar. All right, their name is Charman and all this other stuff. But this is their kingdom. These people are Persians, which you would know of today as the East Indian people. All right,
Me human, Bitha,
yeah, these
Harbona,
they got them.
Bitha.
These names still exist within their community.
It says Abagtha and Zethar and Karkas, the 7 chamberlains that serve in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal.
Come on.
To show the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look on.
Because a man loved nothing more than a beautiful woman. So now when a man gets his wife, this is why when you see the weddings and stuff, the women try to look the best that they can look.
Right.
If you see we can say try, but at some point they supposed to be the best they can look for their husbands, and it's a symbol. We showed in one of the single sister classes, the husband and wife getting married. His bride is walking down. He's so happy and proud. He's breaking down crying.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Funny things about it is like on these wedding type days, normally we see the men crying, but the women is just they ain't trying to mess up mascara or nothing.
All right.
We see this cycle over and over again. I can't even thinking back like all the weddings. Have you seen mascara?
No, sir.
Nah, but
no.
But the brides, their wife start walking down the aisle. They like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. I don't know if you crying for joy. Are you nervous? I can't dictate that, but you know. All right. So you know if you crossing the line.
Right.
Okay. So this woman now needs to be brought in because he's gonna show off her beauty.
Right.
Come on.
Verse 13. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. And the next unto him was Karshina, Shatar, Amathar, Tarshish, Mares, Marah, and Musin, and the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, and which sat the first in the kingdom.
Sat the first in the kingdom, so they were high up. They had some authority.
Wait a minute. You know what? I think I skipped verse 12. I did.
You can read it again.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. It says, but the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Then the king said to the wise men which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. And the next unto him was Karshia, Shatar, Amathar, Tarshish, Maras, and Marashah, and Memus, the 7 princes of Persia and Media, which saw the king's face, which sat the first in the kingdom.
Sat the first in the kingdom. Come on.
What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to the law? Because she have not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains.
So the king calls you, you don't come. You got your own thing going on. All right, come on.
Verse 16. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti the queen have not done wrong to the king only.
She ain't do wrong to the king only because when you at that high level, everybody's watching you. The same thing where the Lord say, in all things we need to be circumspect. So you have your husband's in the truth and you showing out. It ain't just him you doing wrong to. It's looking like everybody, like it's making a bad look on everybody. Come on.
but also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus.
Come on.
For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes, when it shall be reported. The king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought in before him, but she came not.
But so when the words go out and say, "Hey, we saw that the king told her to come, and she denied him," that word's gonna go out, and that's gonna be look bad on their kingdom.
Yep.
Uh-oh, come on.
Verse 18. Likewise, shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes which have heard of the deed of the queen. Thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and that the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
Now listen, this is where a lot of people in America and a lot of you people that are simple, that you would say, well, wait a minute, maybe she had something going on. Is that so much to where he has to now replace her? Yes. They just showed you. It's not about what she had going on. The king is the head, and this man said, come, and she did not want to come.
That's right.
So now your high estate has gotten to your head, to then you think that you are over the king. So this is what they're really saying, and let's see if he listens. Let's see if he be like, you know what, but I really love her. You know, I love her to death. She's just beautiful. I love her foreheads. And all right, let's see if he listens or not. Come on.
You know what scripture that it comes to mind for brothers to understand, and even the Bible says it. You know, and I'm not going to go there, but you know what I'm talking about, brothers. Give the water no passage. Verse 20.
And this is their kingdom. Though.
This is their kingdom, though. That's what I'm saying. So people understand. This is what the Most High, well, this is what their kingdom is about. Verse 20. And with the king's decree which he shall make shall be published throughout all his empire, for it is great. All the wives shall give to their husbands honor, both to great and small.
Come on.
And the saying pleased the king.
Oh, he said, you know what y'all said is right. So no matter, I'm trying to see who really picking up on something. Vashti was like very beautiful. What does this show us about beauty? Put in the comment boards. What does it show? You can try to think you're the most sexiest, finest person, woman walking on the face of the earth. This always shows us that you still could be replaced. Why you think you see all these stars? They just one marriage after another, one marriage after another. But somehow they in Maxim, they in all these magazines being, this is the sexiest woman on the face of the earth.
Yep.
She's been married 9 times.
Yep.
Remember they put the Kardashian girl up there. No, nobody want to stay with her. Now, Kanye lost his mind.
They about to divorce right now, right?
Yeah. But I'm just showing you, they put people up there and they make people look and go, oh, wow, this woman is so awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Can y'all hear us? The volume, they're saying the volume is still low. Volume low?
They can't.
Yeah, we'll see if we can get it right. All right.
We good?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
read on.
Okay.
Read that verse again.
Okay. Esther chapter 1, verse 21. And the saying pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Memucan. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, and to every province according to the writing thereof.
Memucan is that one brother that you have in your corner that always somehow he just say the right thing. Say, hey man, you need to do this. And if you listen to reasoning on it, you will really realize, wait a minute, maybe he's speaking the right things. Maybe he's speaking according to the commandments. Maybe God put that on his spirit.
Because if he didn't listen, it would have made his kingdom look weak.
Yeah.
Straight up. I mean, however you look at it, I mean, that's just how it would have looked.
Let's read on.
And to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house, and that if it should be published according to the language of every people.
So he made sure that it was translated into the language of every people. Okay, let's jump to chapter 2. So we know some critical things. Right now, Vashti, I don't care how good you look, you being replaced. Now your highest state for being a queen and being the queen of a man who's over all of these provinces is being stripped, because what did she have on her? Put in the comments. Pride. What else? Pride, and what else? Hatred. There you go. Hatred. Vanity. Well, you know that. But for her husband, she had pride on her, and she had hatred for her husband, because she would have never done that. All right. Keep that in mind. Jump to chapter 2.
The book of Esther, chapter 2, verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti, and what she had done, and what was decreed against her. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
Give me more beautiful women that I need to pick from. Now, hold that thought. Let's go to 1 Ezra chapter 4. I know somebody want to look at this. 1 Ezra chapter 4. I ain't going to hit the whole thing. We're just going to skip down.
Oh, yeah.
And start at verse. Wow.
You want verse 30?
Start verse 14.
14, okay. How about this? All right. First Ezra, chapter 4, verse 14. O ye men, it is not the great king, nor the multitude of men, neither is it wine that excelleth. Who is it then that ruleth them?
Who ruleth them? Come on.
Or have the lordship over them?
Come on.
Are they not women?
Are they not women? Come on.
Women have borne the king and all the people that bear rule by sea and land. Even of them came they, and they nourished them up that planted the vineyards, from whence the wine cometh. These also make garments for men. These bring glory into men, and without women cannot men be.
Come on.
Yea, and if men have gathered together gold and silver,
come
or
on,
any goodly thing,
come on,
do they not love a woman which is comely in favor and beauty?
Right. That's, remember, he wanted to bring that woman in to show her beauty off.
Right.
Come on.
Verse 19. And letting all those things go, do they not gape? And even with open mouth fix their eyes fast on her?
Yeah, because when somebody sees a woman that's, dressed or beautified, everybody stops and pauses and looks. That's a high level vanity position. That's why women's minds, what you have to realize, you can either destroy a man, or you can build that man up, or you can destroy yourself, or you can build yourself up. One or two, because you might get the man who's a stalker.
Yep.
You trying to be all beautiful playing games, you might have a crazy person on your hand. Come on.
And have not all men more desire into her than into silver or gold?
They getting silver and gold just for women. Come on.
or any goodly thing whatsoever,
Come on.
a man leaveth his own father that brought him up, and his own country, and cleaveth unto his wife.
You better believe it. Look at the power right there. Come on.
He sticketh not to spend his life with his wife. He remembereth neither father, nor mother, nor country.
Come on.
By this also ye must know that women have dominion over you. Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman?
Somebody challenge us on this. I'll challenge anybody on this statement right here.
Yep.
All right. Brothers have their houses, they own little, everything is set up. And then they bring in their woman. They might have a wife or whatever the case may be. They bring her in to that domain. Come on.
Verse 23. Yea, a man taketh his sword, and goeth his way to rob and to steal, and to sail upon the sea and upon rivers, and looketh upon a lion, and goeth in the darkness, and when he hath stolen, spoiled, and robbed, he bringeth it to his love. You see that today where brothers be out there hustling. They out there doing their thing. They doing all they can to get that glitter and glitz to get that woman.
Come on.
Verse 25. Wherefore a man loveth his wife better than father or mother.
Come on.
Yea, many there be that have run out of their wits for women, and become servants for their sakes.
Come on.
Many also have perished, have erred and sinned for women.
You better believe it. A lot of people dead because of women. Come on.
And now do ye not believe me? Is not the king great in his power? Do not all regions fear to touch him? Yet did I see him, and Apolme, the king's concubine, the daughter of the admiral Bartatus, sitting at the right hand of the king.
Sitting at the right hand of the king. Imagine this. Come on.
And taking the crown from the king's head.
Take the crown off the king's head. Come on.
And setting it upon her own head.
And putting it on her own head, playing with them. Come on.
She also struck the king.
What?
She struck the king.
Smacked the king. Come on.
with her left hand.
With her left hand. Gosh. Can you imagine the sight? Yeah, you can imagine what people looking at him like. Hey, she just smacked him and struck him with the. Shut up. Take him as a joke. Come on.
Verse 31. And yet, for all this the king gaped and gazed upon her with open mouth.
Open mouth. Come on.
If she laughed upon him.
If she laughed, he looking at her so hard in her face. If she laughed, come on.
He laughed also.
He laughed also. Come on.
But if she took any displeasure at him,
come on,
the king was fain to flatter her, that she might be reconciled to him again.
Wow, come on.
Damn, he's like, oh baby, please.
She got him.
She got him.
All right.
Verse 32. O ye men, how can it be but women should be strong, seeing they do thus?
Seeing they do thus. So this is to the average man. Go to Proverbs 31 and verse 1. This is the average man right here. This is the average man. All right. That woman, he's losing his mind.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 31, verse 1. The words of King Lemuel.
Come on.
The prophecy that his mother taught him.
His mother taught him this, so he's schooled in the game. All right, read.
What, my son?
Come on.
And what the son of my womb?
Come on.
And what the son of my vows?
Come on.
Give not thy strength unto women.
What's she tell him?
Give not thy strength unto women.
So she taught him, this is where righteous sisters should be really understanding. Like, don't let these ladies play any games with you.
Right.
Your strength is these commandments.
You better believe it.
You go as thus saith the Lord.
Or you.
That's it. That's it. You ain't doing thus saith the Lord. What else is left? Read it again for him.
Verse 3. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings.
That which destroyeth kings. All right, understand that. Let's go back to Esther. I'm not. This ain't about the going into the wickedness of what women do to men, but it just shows you that the world has everything upside down. But even in a kingdom that does not, this kingdom don't run by our commandments. But it's showing you that even in a kingdom that's not running by commandments, they know they got to do something.
They can't just sit there and just let it slide.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it makes their kingdom look weak.
Yes, sir.
Straight up.
Let's read it. Chapter 2.
Esther chapter 2 and verse 2. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
Uh-oh, come on.
And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, and to the custody of Hegi, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women. And let their things be purification be given them.
The things for purification given to them. All right, come on.
And let the maiden which pleased the king be queen instead of Vashti.
Instead of Vashti, come on.
And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Now in Shushan the palace there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai.
I like that. It's a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai. Remember, we read yesterday in Destruction of Nicanor, they deemed that day a day of joy right before Mordecai's day. So Purim is also known as Mordecai's day. All right. Purim just means comes from the word per, which means to cast lots.
Mm-hmm.
P-U-R, which means to per, which means to cast lots. Put that down in your notes. All right. Come on.
The son of Jair, the son of Shemiel, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
A Benjamite. So put that down next to your note. Mordecai was a Benjamite. He's from the tribe of Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Come on.
Verse 6. Who have been carried away from Jerusalem.
So he's a Benjamite, so we know he don't play games.
Better believe it.
Them Benjamites don't play games, all right? Understand that. Come on.
Who have been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, which had been carried away with Jeconiah, the king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful.
Fair and beautiful. Come on.
Whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took for his own daughter.
So also, because you hear us make statements like we'll go, Benjamites, they really don't play. When you go into this book and you see Benjamin almost put all of Israel to death.
Yep.
The Most High had to take Judah and send them on Benjamin. But that's a very, very tough tribe. And you start looking at it, Paul was a Benjamite.
Right.
All right. Saul,
Benjamite. Well,
right. So, exactly. But so understand that the Bible itself has its own context on how things are derived and how you should really be looking at certain elements. It gives you his tribe for a reason. Okay? So, come on, let's go. So, this woman is fair and beautiful. We're going to learn some things about Hadassah, Esther. So obviously that something should be standing out in a lot of y'all minds right now.
Mm-hmm.
But watch this. Come on.
Verse 8. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together to Shushan the palace, to the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also into the king's house to the custody of Haggai, the keeper of the women. And the maidens pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her. And 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house, and he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women.
So Most High put the spirit on them to realize and see, wow, you got all these beautiful women there, but Esther stands out. Then the Most High put the spirit out there for him to, okay, let's set her up. All of this stuff is starting to work because the Most High already knows what's going on. All right? This is being shown for our benefits. Now watch this. Come on.
Verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred,
Come on.
for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
Because being smart. Now, what does this also show us? If you think you know, put it in there. If you know, you don't have to put it in there.
Yep.
All right? But what does this show us? Put it in the comment boards. What does this show us about Esther? See if y'all put it in there. What does it show us? Also, read it again for him.
The book of Esther, chapter 2 and verse 10. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it.
Yep. It shows us, y'all, that Esther could pass for Persian. All right. Yes, the other nations, you have Israelites, women and men, who can look exactly like other nations. Just like when you read up in the book of Amos about the Ethiopians. You have Ethiopians, you wouldn't even be able to tell. If you line them up side by side, you would be confused to think that they're not Ethiopians or they're one of us.
Right.
All right. You have all these, pictures that you can show. It show you that she herself could pass for these, for a Persian.
Right.
All right. So it is in the grand scheme, right? In the grand scheme of things, you start to really understand. Wow, Israel, because of being in captivity, we got confusion of faces.
Yep.
All right, and you see these things play out over and over again. But as for us, we really start to understand the Most High ceased us into captivity, and we got all different type of people and looks in this nation.
Right.
All right, let's read on.
Verse 11. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the women's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her.
So Mordecai still was able to check in on her. All right, so keep that in mind. He never just left her off. Come on.
Verse 12. Now, when every maid's turn was come to go in to King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months.
What?
Been 12 months.
12 months. Come on.
According to the manner of the women.
Come on.
For so were the days of their purification accomplished, to which 6 months with oil of myrrh.
Can you, every day for 6 months, these women who was going to be shown to the king was soaking in oils of myrrh. Can you just, you can imagine the smell. Yeah, she ain't coming in there smelling like nothing. Nothing else. Oils and myrrh for 6 months soaking.
And this is methodical. This is like something they're taking their time with this.
Wow. Come on.
And 6 months with sweet odors and with other things for the purifying of the women.
So that goes back to other, like even for our women now, to start to look at the hygiene, the level of pride that you take with your bodies, because you look at our women now, they take high level, like the hair, the skin, the different mechanisms that they have that they're doing it to try to make their bodies great and smell good and
Right.
other stuff. I'm being good tonight because normally I would just go over the top right now, but I'm being real good because but our nation need to return back to doing some of these things.
I know that's right.
All right, come on.
Verse 13. Then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house.
This show you another level of when you're not in captivity, when you have time. A woman has time to do this.
Right.
Time to soak herself and make sure she's getting ready for, for her husband or whatever the case may be. Now what happens is somebody just using FDS and all this other stuff, vinegar and all kind of junk. Women starting to use,
Right.
But that's not what our ladies did.
Yep.
You look back up in this Bible, this Bible tells you that our women foot for the delicate and tender nature of them, this never touched the ground. Come on.
Oh, wow. How we fallen.
Mm-hmm.
Verse 14. And the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Shagas, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name.
So you couldn't even approach the king unless he called upon you. That's how high level. Sometimes we just read a story, you don't realize how escalated this level is right here. This is high level. Imagine you being called to be in the White House, and you can only be summoned by the president. Come on.
Verse 15. Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abigail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, was come to go in into the king, she required nothing but what Hagar, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them that look upon her.
Come on.
So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus in his house royal in the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And the king loved Esther above all the women.
Come on.
And she obtained grace and favor in his sight.
Remember, she has not showed her nation yet at all. Come on.
More than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti.
Wow. Just that quick, Vashti is replaced with now the most beautiful creature that you can find, which is an Israelite woman.
Yep.
And she's replaced. Now, you know there's just a spirit on her to when she walked in, you're like, oh, yeah, this is it. Yeah, I mean, put the East Indian or Elamite woman on side of an Israelite woman, the Israelite woman going to shine.
All day.
All day. All day. She going to shine.
All day.
Until, if she ain't keeping commandments, then she going to shine the wrong way.
Right.
She might start saying things, and then you're going to realize, nah, it's a problem.
Right.
But understanding righteousness, the end. She could just stand there and just outshine everybody. Come on.
Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, there Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Esther had not yet showed her kindred nor her people, as Mordecai had charged her.
She still, listen, she's still quiet about that. And I'm glad she was, because when you start to find out about the Israelites, it's a lot of hatred that comes out. But the spirit is on them to keep quiet. All right, come on.
For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth, and sought to lay hand on King Ahasuerus. And the thing was known to Mordecai, who was told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made of the matter,
Come on.
it was found out. Therefore they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
Before the king. So some scheme was happening to take down the king. Mordecai knew of it, and he told on him. And now, what does this show you what he applied? What did it show that? Put in the comment boards. What did Mordecai apply right there to the situation? Put in the comments.
You know what he applied.
Yep, Leviticus 5:1. Leviticus 5:1
Yep.
saved the day.
Better believe it.
Leviticus 5:1 saved the day. So for you folks that are first, this is your first Purim, you first celebrating this. You have to realize this is a story, a story about honor, a story about truth, a story about how the Most High took hatred and turned it around for good for the children of Israel.
Right.
All right, but you are seeing right off the bat where the keeping one law has now just saved the whole entire nation. If he wouldn't have said this, this sets off the trickle effect of everything that's going to happen.
That's right.
Let's read on.
Chapter 3, Esther chapter 3, verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, and advanced him, and set his seat above all the princes that were with him.
So Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, he comes from Agag's lineage, which, of course, is the Edomites. Okay? Esau. So Haman would be the so-called white man here. Okay? The Hammedatha was his father, the Agagite. All right? From Agag. Come on.
Verse 2. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence.
Right, because we're not supposed to bow down to nobody.
Nope.
We're not doing no paying reference to the Edomite,
Right.
Haman.
Right.
Okay, you're not doing that. But watch what happens. Come on.
Verse 3. Then the king's servants which were in the king's gate said unto Mordecai, Why transgresseth the king's commandment? Now it came to pass when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai matters would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew.
So he told him, he said, that's a Jew. Now automatically hatred comes. All right. Told him that he was a Jew, meaning he was from that southern kingdom. All right. If you was called a Jew, that means you was from the southern kingdom, which consisted of Judah, Benjamin, and some of the Levites. Okay. Primarily. You did have the other tribes, all right, but not in the bulk like you had here. Okay, this is primarily the southern kingdom had went into captivity underneath the Babylonians, and the Babylonians fell, and now they were subverted into this kingdom.
Right.
Come on.
Verse 5. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath.
Come on.
And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone, for they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus, even the people of Mordecai.
Right, so he wanted to destroy all of the Israelites, all right? Haman, this is wickedness at the high level. Remember, he's promoted up high. That's just like if you have these senators, if they decide they want to destroy the Israelites, they put out all the schemes and everything else to destroy Israelites. Nothing you're going to be able to do about it. The Most High has given us grace and mercy in the sight of these nations that we are now grinded to powder.
That's right.
Come on.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is the month Nisan, And the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lot, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar.
Adar. So they cast lots. Watch this. Come on.
Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad.
There's a certain people scattered abroad. Scattered abroad. This should let you know it's talking about the Israelites. Remember when you read James 1 and 1?
Mm-hmm.
To the 12 tribes scattered abroad? This devil knows this. Oh, there's a certain people scattered abroad. And let me say this too. You're going to have people who look upon the Israelites, look upon what we're teaching, and they look upon it always as hate. But they never look upon it far as scripturally sound and far as history goes. This man right here, Haman, was an enemy of the Jews, enemy of our people. If somebody go and be like, y'all shouldn't talk like that about him.
But look at this, what he wanted to do.
What do you want to do?
He wanted to annihilate us.
We'll see. We know the Most High what he did to Nicanor.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
He was an Edomite too,
Mm-hmm.
by the way.
Yep.
Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people, neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
So our laws being diverse from all people, this is why it's so important. That's why they're telling us not to keep commandments, it should ding off into your head, oh no, we better keep these. Keep these commandments. And the crazy thing about it, you living in America or living in these other countries where Esau is primarily ruling, they took a lot of the laws out of the Bible.
Straight up. Even the law of adultery. That law, they don't, you know, if you notice, they do not enforce that law right now. But it's on the books.
Even if you was to try to come to this country and apply for citizenship and everything, guess what? In their law, if you are not the age of 20, you're considered a minor.
Yep.
For immigration.
Yep.
Where they get that from?
From the scripts.
Straight from the scripts.
Straight from the scripts.
You studied our laws too.
They studied our laws.
To show that it's diverse from there.
Yep.
So they had to study it. He got to do it.
Mm-hmm. Come on.
Verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed.
Gosh. Let him, he said that the Israelites be destroyed. Okay, come on.
And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasury.
So here's the problem. He's saying he's going to pay that much amount of money. That show you that it's a whole nation behind his agenda. Because he has, that money right there shows that no one person has that. That's nation type money to pay for a job. So watch this. Come on.
Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Hagamathatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy.
It repeated Hamathatha the Agagite again to let you know that this man is actually an Edomite. Okay? This type of Edomite right here comes from Amalek, the Amalekites. Okay? Now watch this. Go to Ezekiel 35. He wanna kill everybody. This show you that spirit that Edom has on him.
Yep. Murder, murder, murder.
Kill them all. Watch this. 35 and verse 1.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 35 and verse 1. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it.
Mount Seir, when you read in Genesis 36 and 8, it's where it tells you Esau dwelt in Mount Seir, and Esau is Edom. All right? Put that in your notes. Genesis 36 and verse 8. Read on.
Verse 3. And say unto it, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out mine hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate.
Come on.
I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am the Lord, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred.
Perpetual mean continual hatred. Continual hatred. Come on.
And has shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end.
When the time our iniquity had an end, this is prophecy. The time that our iniquity had an end was during the time when Christ did. Christ did what he did, but they still had perpetual hatred. Slavery and everything. Cutting women's babies out of women's stomachs. Letting women go 3 to 4 months pregnant. And then opening up their wombs. All kind of stuff was happening. Okay? So keep that in mind. Read again.
The book of Ezekiel, chapter 35, verse 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord. Verse 5. Behold, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword, and the time of their calamity, and the time that their iniquity had an end.
So the time of our calamity. This is the times of our calamities right now. Don't you see how the perpetual hatred still continues? But yet you want to say you love people.
Yep.
We just seen an article where Herschel Walker.
Yep.
I mean, come on now.
Right. I mean, he's going to sit there and say black Americans don't deserve reparations. Reparations represent separation. I'm like, what are we in now? We in separation, aren't we? People like that, you just have to just shake your head.
So let's go back to Esther chapter 3. I'm going to skip around a bit because this is a 2-day feast.
Right.
All right. So we'll skip around a bit and cover it on the back end, but all praises to the Most High. Come on.
Esther chapter 3 and verse 11. And the king said unto Haman, The silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Then were the king's scribes called on the 13th day of the first month. And there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. And the name of the King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by post unto all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, and to cause to perish all Jews, both young and old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, to take the spoil of them for a prey. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. The post went out being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace, and the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed.
The city was perplexed. Now you have this decree to destroy Israelites. All right? Let's go to chapter 4. I'm going to skip around just a bit. Verse 1.
Esther chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate, for none might enter the king's gate clothed with sackcloth.
Come on.
And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing. And many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai, and to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Then called Esther from Hattach, one of the king's chamberlains, who he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. So Hattach went forth to Mordecai, and to the street of the city which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay to the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them. And he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given him at Shushan to destroy them, to show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people. And Hattach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Again Esther spake unto Hattach, and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. All the king's servants and the people of the king's province do know that whatsoever, whether man or woman, shall come into the king and to the inner court, who is not called, there was one law of his to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come into the king these 30 days.
So the setup is now here because Mordecai now has an inside track through Esther to get to the king. But what Esther is saying is that don't nobody just approach the king. This goes back to show you, even in this wicked kingdom, you couldn't just approach the dignitaries or a king. What makes you think in the heavenly kingdom you just gonna be able to walk up to Christ?
It ain't happening.
You know, it ain't no way possible. You just, there go little Christ over there. Let me just go walk up to him.
Let me go say what's up.
Right.
It's gonna work. Oh yeah, okay, all right.
All right, all right. Now let's go to the rest of Esther in the Apocrypha, chapter 14.
Okay.
Chapter 14, because to speed y'all up a bit, what Esther does is, because she's listening, to Mordecai, treating Mordecai as a father, and because she believes on the Most High,
Right.
she got to accomplish something. So what she did was, she was like, let me send up some prayers before this enterprise that we got going on happened.
Right.
Because she could very well be put to death.
Yep.
So Esther, chapter 14. I'm going to skip around a bit. Start at verse 1.
The rest of Esther, chapter 14, verse 1. Queen Esther also, being in fear of death, resorted unto the Lord, and laid away her glorious apparel, and put on the garments of anguish and mourning, and instead of precious ointments, she covered her head with ashes and dung, and she humbled her body greatly, and all the places of her joy she filled with her torn hair.
So this also, as we start to go into like other topics, you start to realize our women, with the hair falling out, with the way that our health is, we're dealing with health issues. It's from a myriad of conditioning that happened through our people forever. Imagine going through, your lineage, if you go back through our lineage, thinking you're going to die all the time.
Yep. Even today.
If you look at the health professionals today, they tell you stress can have your hair falling out.
Yep.
They tell you stress can give you high blood pressure,
Yep.
can give you circulatory damage, all kind of things. So you look at through DNA and our lineage, what you see is a lot of ailments because of being disobedient to the commandments.
That's right.
So now, we wouldn't be in this captivity if Israel had listened in the first place, because we wouldn't have ever got sucked into Babylon.
That's true.
Let's read on.
Verse 3. And she prayed unto the Lord God of Israel, saying, O my Lord, thou only art our king. Help me, desolate woman, which have no helper but thee.
Come on.
For my danger is in mine hand. From my youth up I have heard in the tribe of my family that thou, O Lord, tookest Israel from among all people, and our fathers from all their predecessors, for a perpetual inheritance, and thou hast performed whatsoever thou didst promise them. And now we have sinned before thee. Therefore hast thou given us into the hands of our enemies, because we worship their gods, O Lord. Thou art righteous. Nevertheless, it satisfied them not that we are in bitter captivity, but they have stricken hands with their idols, that they were abolished the thing that thou with thy mouth hast ordained, and destroyed thine inheritance, and stopped the mouth of them that praise thee, and quenched the glory of thy house and thy altar, and opened the mouths of the heathen to set forth the praises of the idols, and to magnify a fleshly king forever.
Come on.
O Lord, give not thy scepter unto them that be nothing.
So why would then we go into does the Most High not answer her prayer?
You better believe it.
Because how we go to the New Testament and all of a sudden the scepter is given to everybody.
Right.
Rulership is not given to everybody, folks. The Lord only promised joint heirs with Israel. Come on.
O Lord, give not thy scepter unto them that be nothing, and let them not laugh at our fall, but turn their device upon themselves, and make him an example that have begun this against us.
Come on.
Remember, O Lord, make thyself known in time of our affliction, and give me boldness, O King of the nations, and Lord of all power. Give me eloquent speech in my mouth before the lion. Turn his heart to hate him that fighteth against us, that there be an end of him, and of all that are like-minded to him.
You hear her prayer? This is a righteous prayer that she's asking the Most High to destroy our enemies once again, and to put the spirit on the king to really have that compassion. Come on.
Verse 14, but deliver us with thine hand, and help me that am desolate, and which have no other helper but thee.
Come on.
Thou knowest all things, O Lord. Thou knowest that I hate the glory of the unrighteous, and abhor the bed of the uncircumcised,
Come on.
and of all the heathen. Thou knowest my necessity, for I abhor the signs of my high estate, which is upon mine head in the days wherein I show myself.
Some ladies would love that high estate
You better believe it.
and turn their backs on their nation because of money. Not her. Come on.
And that I abhor it as a menstruous rag.
So even the stuff that she was wearing, like you see, we showed y'all before, they wear those little hajib pants for like belly dancers and stuff. The little harem pants that, MC Hammer pants. People love to call them. But they would wear these type of things.
Yep.
All right? And send the women in. She's saying she hates this.
Yep.
Come on.
Like a menstruous
Like
rag.
like a menstruous rag. Like she want to throw those things away. And that would be looked upon as decorative in their culture, but not in what the Most High told us to wear. Our lady's supposed to wear modest apparel. Come on.
And that I wear it not when I am private by myself.
She said, I don't wear this when I'm private by myself.
When soon as she get by herself, she toss this stuff. Get it out of here.
That show you some of y'all ladies that have jobs around mechanical equipment. They might be forcing you right now to wear pants and stuff. You might be like, yo, I hate this.
Yeah.
All right, because of captivity. Send up prayers to the Most High. Ask the Most High to remove you from that type of environment.
Right.
Come on.
Verse 17. and that thine handmaid have not eaten at Amon's table, and that I have not greatly esteemed the king's feast, nor drunk the wine of the drink offering.
So she didn't even partake. She didn't care about their feast, the tables, how it was set up, or none of that. This shows you her mind is on her nation.
Exactly.
And she understands, no, we have a heritage. Not like what they trying to do.
Right.
That's a righteous mind. Some of you brothers, man, you have to realize the woman supposed to be after your mind.
Yep.
If you getting into situations with ladies and you having problems, well, and that's your wife, and well, look at your mind.
Yep.
She's supposed to be after your mind. Right, Deuteronomy 22:5. She understood that. Yes, Esther had a different spirit, and her spirit was amazing. That's why you have this book in here to show being obedient, listening. Some people she could have been like, yo, why? I'm already made it to the top.
Yep.
We good. I'm gonna make sure you're good, Mordecai. We're good. But let's go back to Esther, regular Esther, because Mordecai tell her something.
Yes, he does.
We'll read it. We agree.
Yeah, I'm chapter 4. Yeah, chapter 4. Okay, you want...
What you left
We
off
left
at?
off at
11?
Yeah.
Left off at 11.
You
Finish
want,
reading that?
okay, you want me 11 again?
12.
12 now? Okay. Esther chapter 4, verse 12. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not within thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
You see that? He putting it in her mind. Think not that you're going to escape more than all the Jews just because you're in highest society. Some people think that.
Because the Most High will allow you to get judged along.
He letting her know.
Straight up.
Come on.
Verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then should their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed.
You see that? He like, if you don't do it, the Most High still gonna rise up deliverance, raise up a deliverance for Israel, but you'll be destroyed. Come on.
And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
So the Most High, remember, he was orchestrating it from the beginning. So this lets us know something in your regular life. You might be in a position right now that you are perplexed, you don't understand, but the Most High put you there for a reason.
Yep.
That's why you have to be patient, and you have to really understand that man's goings is of the Lord.
And that's why you have to pray the Most High guide you and show you. Don't always be so quick to move in haste.
Right.
Be patient without brought to a lower state.
Read on.
Verse 15. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Go, gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me.
Fast for me. Go tell all the Jews to fast. Now, this means that as a nation of people, we needed to be on one accord.
That's right.
Right now, we call a fast. You might got 13 people fasting.
Straight up.
You know, it's just crazy. Somebody gonna forget and eat, drink something.
Yep.
Yeah, brother. Yo, bro, we fasting. Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah. All praises, we fasting.
Dang, man.
Get a face message call. This brother's chewing. Bro, you forgot we was fasting? Oh, God, forgive me. Lord, forgive me, I forgot. Ladies popping out gum and out of their purse and feeling their breath. I mean, just all kind of things.
Right.
I mean, it's an example. We've seen it.
We have, though. It's true.
You know, somebody. I don't even want to begin to tell you all the stuff.
Hey, lie,
It
man.
would just not be fair right now.
Uh-huh.
All right, let's read on.
Verse 16. Go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, night or day. I also and my maidens will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law.
Come on.
And if I perish,
And if I perish,
I perish.
I perish. That's a level of courage. That's a level of belief. That's a level of faith to show how I'm going to stand for my people. All right? And if I perish, I perish. That means if the nation called a fast, it's like, okay, let's all call a fast. Everybody who know they Israel, let's all fast. You got some people don't understand. Fasting means put nothing in your mouth. You have a whole nother sect. Well, I'm a fast just eating fruits. Like that. I'm a Daniel fast. I'm a fast from watching TV.
Click on my lights.
You know, I'm not gonna go outside.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna do a walk fast. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is, but somebody told me that. Ma'am, you cannot. What is a walk fast?
Right.
All right. You power walking. What is it? The point that we're trying to show you is the facts of this: that we need to be on one accord. So you see her when she was like, eat nothing, drink nothing. That lets us know the Bible's on one accord when we do Day of Atonement, when we do our fast. Put nothing in your mouth.
And this is where you go to show people that's the proper way to fast. Mm-hmm. You know, you go here to show, because some people, they like the elder saying, you got people that got their own ideology on how to fast.
You folks that's in that Pentecostal doctrine, you apostolic nut jobs, what you do is you do Daniel fast.
Right.
You see it all day.
Yeah, I'm going to eat me some pulse.
Yeah, pulse.
Try to be slick. Try to use the word pulse.
Yeah.
Because I read the book of Daniel. That just means he wasn't eating meat sacrificed to idols. That was he was just keeping the commandments. That's all he was doing.
It's about knowledge, folks.
Yeah.
Okay, you must understand that. If you don't have that, then you just end up doing anything and not pleasing the Most High. Go to John 5. I'm gonna give y'all this one. We almost wrapping it up because it's a feast day.
Yeah.
This is a 2-day celebration. Mm-hmm. All right. It's not considered a Sabbath, but it's considered a day of reverence, just like Nicanor is.
Right.
All right. So John 5:1, I'm pulling this, read down, I think, to 6.
Okay. St. John, chapter 5, verse 1. After this, there was a feast of the Jews.
This feast right here, I'm going to tell you after we read it how it was really kind of like on a scholarly level, understanding that this would be Purim.
Mm-hmm. After this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is at Jerusalem by the sheep market a pool, which is called in the Hebrew tongue Bethsaida, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of impotent folk, of blind, halt, withered, waiting for the moving of the water.
Well, people want that pool right now.
You better believe
like
it.
They mock this, called Fountain of Youth.
Yep.
Come on.
Verse 4. For an angel went down at a certain season into the pool.
Come on.
And troubled the water.
And troubled the waters. All right. It's for another topic, but come on.
Whosoever then first after the troubling of the water stepped in was made whole.
Come on.
Of whatsoever disease he had.
Come on.
And a certain man was there which had an infirmity 38 years.
Come on.
When Jesus saw him lie, and knew that he had been now a long time in that case, he said unto him, Wilt thou be made whole?
Come on.
The impotent man answered, Sir, I have no man when the water is troubled to put me into the pool. But while I am coming, another steppeth down before me.
Right, that's crazy, because this man really need to get in the pool.
Right.
But he taking so long, somebody else jump in.
Right.
So he can't even get in there. Come on.
Jesus said unto him, Rise, take up thy bed and walk.
Because Christ is the living water.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get in no pool.
I know that's right.
Come on.
And immediately the man was made whole.
Immediately. So we know who troubled the waters. So it's for a topic, but keep that in mind, all right? Come on.
And took up his bed and walked. And on the same day was the Sabbath.
So when that happened, it was on a Sabbath. So what scholars did is when they went back through, they just rewind, because you can rewind feast days. We can just keep rewinding all the way back to the time of Christ. And the only feast day that lands on a Sabbath around the time of Christ was Purim, the end. So you can rewind that and you can see it on a scholarly level. That's why scholars be like, this was the feast of Purim.
Oh, Purim.
All right, that people were doing. Call it Feast of the Jews, meaning only the Israelites were celebrating this. Everybody wasn't celebrating this.
Right.
All right, that's why when you read in 5 and 1, it's Feast of the Jews. Okay, understand that portion of it. Now, go back to Esther. Chapter 5 and verse 1.
The book of Esther, chapter 5, verse 1. Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house, and the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight, and the king held out to Esther the golden scepter.
See? So the Most High is working on the nation's behalf, but the beauty of Esther catches the king's eyes. He holds out the scepter.
Well, this reminds me of Proverbs 21 and 1.
Let's go there.
And this is even goes to even up to today, when we're dealing with this system. You got to pay attention to this, because sometimes the Most High put that spirit on a ruler, especially if we're being oppressed. He can do this. The book of Proverbs.
Proverbs chapter 21, I got it.
Uh-huh.
And verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord.
The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Like the king Asahar is here. His heart is in the hand of the Lord. Go ahead.
Which means his mind.
His mind.
The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will.
Whether he want to turn it evil or whether he want to turn it righteous. In this case, it was mercy. He actually gave mercy because the Lord put that spirit on Ahasuerus, used him as a tool to bring mercy upon Israel.
Right. So let's go back. We in verse 2?
Yeah. The book of Esther, chapter 5 and verse 2. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter.
So I wish we'd go back to Proverbs 31 and 30 for him.
Okay. The book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse 30. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain.
Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. Come on.
But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised.
But the woman that feared the Lord, she's going to be praised. Meaning the woman that's keeping commandments in Christ, she shall be praised. All right? Keep that in mind. Let's go back. Because you can find favor in this king's eyes and everything else. Your goal is to make peace with the Most High.
All day.
Come on.
All day. And the book of Esther, chapter 5, verse 3. Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request? It shall be even given thee to the half of the kingdom.
Wow. So the Spirit is on him to say, your request, it's going to be even given you to the half of the kingdom. Wow. High level.
When a man's ways please the Lord,
Man.
he can even the enemies to make peace with thee. That's just what it is. Ready?
Yeah.
Verse 4. And Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, that the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet, that I have prepared for him. Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther had said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request, even to the half of the kingdom, it shall be performed.
So jump to chapter 6. Remember now she's going to bring them together. And it's going to be found out that Haman, he's doing things. So what's going to happen is, of course, the Most High is working this thing out big time. And it's going to be told to the king. And the king's going to remember something that Mordecai did, which is that Leviticus 5:1. Let's read it. 6:1.
The book of Esther, chapter 6, verse 1. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the Chronicles, and they were read before the king.
So, and when y'all read this, they were already making plans to execute Mordecai. Haman's wife, all his family, their friends, they was like, we gonna bring some gallows.
Gallows, yeah.
We gonna hang, we good, we got the favor of the king, we gonna hang Mordecai.
Dang.
But the book of the records, this why, you know what, this also shows us something. Israel, it's for us to do all things in writing. But some people hate doing things in writing.
Right.
As far as marriage, being married,
Right.
making sure that's done right. Even having writings for your kids and everything else.
Right.
So a lot of Israel don't do that.
Right.
But we need to make sure we're doing it. Come on.
Verse 2. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on King Ahasuerus. And the king said, what honor and dignity have been done to Mordecai for this?
So because Mordecai is patient, he didn't say, oh, you know what, I got this connection because, you know, I saved the king. He just laid back. The Most High put it in the king's mind, in his heart. What honor has been done to this man for saving me? Come on.
Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, there is nothing done for him.
Wow, come on.
And the king said, who is in the court? Now Haman was coming to the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai.
Yeah, he wanted to go speak and hang him. Come on.
On the gallows that he prepared for him.
Come on.
And the king's servant said unto him, behold, Haman standeth in the court. And the king said, let him come in. So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, what shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to do honor more than myself?
He thinking like, oh, I'm finna be honored.
Yes,
okay.
sir. And Haman answered the king, for the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear, and the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal, which is set upon his head. And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man withal, whom the kings delighted to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighted to honor. Then the king said to Haman, make haste, and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew,
Come on.
that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
So not only do you hate this man, you want to kill him, but then the Lord can say, okay, you know what? I'm going to have you to go crown the man that you killed, that you want to kill, that you hate.
Damn.
And put the crown royal on him.
And you got to do it.
And you got to do it. The Most High is a mastermind.
Yes, he is.
Take your enemies and make your enemies your footstool. This is what it's showing us, y'all. All right? Read on.
Verse 11. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai,
Come on.
and brought him on horseback through the streets of the city, and proclaimed before him, Thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning, and have his head covered.
Ooh, he was mad. You could tell. Angry. All right, come on.
And Haman told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that hath befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, If Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him. And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and hastened to bring Haman into the banquet that Esther had prepared.
The plot is thickened. Haman has to go to the banquet that Esther prepared. It is not looking good for Haman. It's not looking good for him, folks. Lord's will, tomorrow we will resume. The book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 29.
The book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, We ought to obey God rather than men.
Remember, these feast days and everything that you're looking at is to celebrate righteousness, to understand the Most High is in control of all things, and He is orchestrating the whole book. All right? All praises to the Most High in Christ. Marshall, tomorrow, we'll touch on it, the rest of this, and understanding like what happened and the great deliverance that the Israelites had. Just know this much. Have some joy, have some feasting, have some fun. All right? Understand that the Most High will definitely not spare when it comes down to the nation of Israel and those who are repentant. All right?
That's
All
right.
praise to the Most High in Christ. Visit the website, IsraeliteSaintsChrist.org, and make sure you brothers and sisters continue to read this story. All right? Even though we're going to go over it a little bit more in depth.
That's right.
With that, we say,